Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Stretch! You can put it on the board! Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA, prime, Angus, and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those massive and gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on all of our radio affiliates and everybody watching on our television affiliates and those streaming as well, and even on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, folks. A fun group, talk about food, your favorite recipes, your favorite restaurants, your favorite foods, whatever. Make some friends, have some fun. That's Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Now, I'm going to familiarize you with a name. I want you to remember this name. This is a really important name in the baseball world. Okay, the name is Jean-Michel Senja, but you can call him Lou. Now, this guy was born May 31st, 2003. He is from Curacao. He's a professional baseball pitcher in the Seattle Mariners organization. Why is it important? Because we haven't seen this in many years. He is a switch pitcher. That's right, a switch pitcher. Now, of course, you may not know what that means, but in baseball, a switch pitcher is an ambidextrous pitcher who is able to pitch from either the left or right side from the pitcher's mound. And switch pitchers are very rare at the highest levels, of course, of competition, with Pat Venditti being the only pitcher to regularly throw with both arms in Major League Baseball since a long time ago. As a matter of fact, my uncle was also able to do that in the Dodgers organization way back in the day when they were in Brooklyn. So this guy, he was drafted with the 15th overall pick in the 2024 Major League Baseball draft by the Mariners. This is a really interesting guy. Outside of the fact that he could throw lefty and righty, he could throw very effectively. And he was also an amazing amateur as well. So Senja was born, of course, in the Netherlands, grew up primarily in Curacao. He switched pitch and played shortstop for Willemstad in the 2016 Little League World Series. So you may have seen him in Williamsport. So Senja played second base and batted second for Netherlands in the under-15 team at the 2018 U15 Baseball World Cup as well. That was in Panama. He had a 1.076 on-base plus slugger. That's the old OPS. And 6 RBIs while committing 2 errors in 8 games at the tournament. Not bad for a 15-year-old boy. Now, Senja moved to Miami when he was only 16, where he lived with 3 older cousins who had played college baseball at Florida National University. He attended a Catholic school in Hialeah. That's in Florida. For all that you don't know, Hialeah is in the greater Miami market, where he played baseball as both a switch pitcher and switch hitter. His high school record was 7-6 with a 2.32 ERA, striking out 166 in 81 innings, so that's not bad. We're talking striking out 2 guys every inning. He also participated in the Reviving Baseball in the Inner Cities program, and he committed to playing at Mississippi State University before his senior season and enrolled there after signing with the Milwaukee Brewers, who selected him in the 18th round of the 2022 Major League Baseball draft as a shortstop. Now, while at Miss State, Sinja began his freshman season with the Bulldogs as a midweek starting pitcher. So this guy was kind of in the middle of the rotation. His first collegiate start, he struck out 7 from Louisiana Monroe, and pitched 6 right-handed and 1 as a lefty. That's kind of crazy to imagine that this guy can actually turn around a pitch with the opposite hand. I mean, you can't do that in the same inning. I'll get into that a little bit later. So it has to be in separate innings. Well, allowing 1 hit, 1 walk over 4 innings, etc., and so forth. Look, as a sophomore, he really started picking up, named second-team All-American by the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association, and perfect game was named to South All-Region first team by American Baseball Coaches Association. So this guy was really climbing in popularity, and he was growing on the field. And I'll get to this, why I'm talking about him in just a moment. So he finished the season at 8-2 at a 3.67 ERA over 16 starts, had 113 strikeouts and 90 2/3 innings pitched, and Sinja pitched primarily as a righty, not throwing a pitch left-handed for the final month of the season. Now, Miss State pitching coach Justin Parker said Sinja would often forego the platoon advantage and pitch with his right arm to left-handed batters to improve his consistency. And Parker said Sinja had higher velocity and better command with the right arm, but induced more ground balls as a lefty. So, enter the Seattle Mariners. They drafted him with the 15th overall pick in the 2024 Major League Baseball draft, and he signed a almost 4.88, we'll call it $5 million, thereabouts, contract with the Mariners. And he did not pitch for Seattle in 2024, participating in training camp in the Arizona complex, basically playing the fall league. So Sinja his first real competitive professional appearance was in 2025 in a spring breakout game, and he threw his first pitch with his left hand, retiring, of course, a fellow prospect, Travis Bazzana, before switching to the right side of the rubber, I guess you could say it that way, for his final 2 innings, or final 2 outs in the inning. So entering the 2025 season, he was ranked as a top 100 prospect by Baseball Prospectus and Fangraphs, joining Baseball America's top 100 prospects back in April. Now, he began the season with the high 8 Everett Aqua Sox, and then he took a no-hitter into the 6th inning in a win over Vancouver over the Canadiens, pitching left-handed to only 3 batters. He won the Northwest League's Pitcher of the Week award for that performance. Early in the season, he threw 3 left-handed relieving appearances, allowing 9 runs in 3 innings, and Sinja pitched a scoreless inning in the 2025 All-Star Futures game, throwing left-handed to 1 batter, and then, of course, carried on with the righty, and then he was promoted to Double-A. That's Arkansas, the Arkansas Travelers. So, why are we talking about this guy? I'm going to tell you why. He is as scarce as hen's teeth. You just don't see somebody in baseball do what he has done in the first place. Think about this, folks. This guy is pitching from both sides. So you talk about the lefty-lefty matchup and the righty-righty matchup. Let me tell you something. There is a distinct advantage to Sinja. Now, recently, think about this. This is according to Major League Baseball. There was all kinds of trades and all kinds of this, that, and the other. Lots of movement going on in pick your favorite sport, right? And Seattle says in this time frame, you know what? We're going to go ahead and move this kid up. And so they moved him up very, very quickly from A-ball to Double-A. And so the bigger question is, what are they going to do with him? Is he just a novelty? You think about what Seattle has done on the baseball field. And, I mean, first of all, we're going to give them an astounding round of applause because they are a loaded baseball team in the first place. And here's the thing, folks. Whether it's baseball season, football, basketball, hockey season, when a team is loaded, they're going to be loaded for years and years. And you look at the pitching of what the Seattle Mariners have piled up. And then you say, wow, they couldn't hit the ball before. Now they can hit the ball. So at some point in the next couple, 3 years, it sounds like Seattle's going to win a World Series. But you say, is it going to be with their current staff, which when you think about their current pitching staff over the last, even over the last 10 plus years, maybe more, even the last 15 years, going back to Randy Johnson. I mean, they had King Felix out there. that ruled the baseball world as far as the pitching mound goes for quite some time. What is Sinja going to do? When are they going to bring this kid up? Is it going to be this year, next year, the year after? What's going to happen? I almost think that they're going to develop this kid, Jurrangelo Sinja, in a way where he can pitch left-handed or right-handed. Now, when you think about the rules for pitching, that's a whole nother discussion because Major League Baseball has their sets of rules. In the same way they do for a switch hitter, there are rules for a switch pitcher too. But because there are so few switch pitchers, they really don't enforce the rules. And so you ask yourself, can he switch from lefty to righty on the pitcher's mound? He can do it, but he cannot do it in the middle of an at-bat. So if he starts facing batter X, whoever that is, as a left-handed pitcher, in the middle of the at-bat, he cannot turn around and throw right-handed in the same way that batter X, if he is a switch hitter, is maybe batting right-handed. He can't turn around and hit left-handed in the middle of the at-bat. So there are some small rules here, but what a unique situation this is. Everyone says, well, Ohtani this, Ohtani. Ohtani's not the best player in baseball, folks, period. In the same way that Travis Hunter certainly is not the best college football player, not the best professional football player because he plays two sides of the ball. Travis Hunter is more of a guy that happens to be a defensive back that can be a wide receiver too. Think about that, folks. We're going to be back here with more baseball on the Sports Circus in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for Chaos and Controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody, including our friends listening in over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us. Over in Auburn, Alabama, from Montgomery all the way over to Columbus, Georgia. Thanks for listening in on your drive home. WAUD, that's 1230 on the AM dial, home of the Atlanta Braves. Welcoming everybody else up and down the Midwest, throughout the heartland, out to the West Coast. Those driving between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, listening in on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. And a big welcome in to everybody all the way up to Anchorage, Alaska, down to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, that's home of the New York Yankees, 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus everybody else on our cable affiliates where applicable, and that would be Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, Charter, and independent cable affiliates, as well as Hotel TV where applicable once again, and everybody else on pick your favorite social media platform and streaming platform. All right, I think we've covered just about everybody. By the way, folks, we've teamed up with Vacation Buddies and trying to help you travel a little bit, enjoy this time of your life and have some fun. And listen, if you can answer a very simple trivia question, how about a couple of free nights in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri? If you know the answer to this very simple trivia question, which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want you to travel. They want you to have some fun. So if you know the answer to that very simple trivia question, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, back to it. So a very, very interesting story with Jurrangelo Sinja. Now, if you don't know who this kid is, I got to tell you, folks, this is really exciting because here you've got the switch pitcher, right? And, of course, squaring off potentially with switch hitters from Major League Baseball and professional baseball. It's such a rare situation, and I grew up with my uncle was a switch pitcher as well. It's a very rare situation. And so I learned a lot from him, and he played professional baseball. We have just family members in the professional baseball world. It is what it is. And so as I look at the experience that I was able to receive, in the same way that Sinja was able to get the same experience level, because his father, in fact, played, I think, professional baseball as well, and he had family that played professional baseball as well. So really good news for him. So he get great tutelage growing up. And now he has it, of course, from the Seattle Mariners organization. And Major League Baseball wants this kid to really progress. And I think it's great for the sport because, listen, it gives a different perspective of the game. And honestly, I think it adds a little something special to the viewer's perspective. So those people that have never played professional sports or even played, I don't know, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, whatever. You never played at a high level, even in high school. Maybe a lot of people have played Little League ball or Pee-wee football or Pee-wee hockey or whatever the hell it is. But as you go up in the ranks in sports, it becomes more and more political. It becomes more, what can you do for me? How much advertising can you sell? In today's game, that's how it is. That's why you have all these name, image, and likeness deals. I can't imagine the kind of deals. If this guy cracks the big leagues, which I think he will, I think they'll push him through because it'll be more of a novelty. And it'll be something where the other teams are going to have to think about, hey, what do we do? We've never faced a guy that throws from the left and the right side. Although he may be more effective throwing from the right side, he will certainly throw from both sides until he gets lit up on both sides in one game. But I do believe that he's good for the game in a lot of different ways. And when we think about prospects, I tell you what, these prospects, now Sinja is the number 70 prospect in Major League Baseball as it stands. So, look, the Seattle Mariners have a real serious ball of clay on their hands, and they could do a lot with this kid. They could continue to develop him, or they could deal him off for and probably get a huge haul back from another team that is young and that's looking to build. And maybe it might be prudent to ship this guy off and take back a whole bunch of top prospects, because at that point, when you think about what Seattle did to build their hitting lineup as it stands, right? Last year versus this year versus next year versus whatever. You say, well, you're going to have to still load up and get some prospects back into the system. So if you deal off somebody who is sort of an anomaly, well, the reality is you could probably get a huge haul back. It's kind of like the Angels had a chance to deal off Shohei Ohtani. And what they didn't do is they didn't trade him. In fact, they ended up losing him. In my opinion, Artie Moreno is arguably the worst owner in Major League Baseball. It's just my opinion, and I think that he has dropped the ball in so many ways. And then he blames, in my opinion, his general manager. And his general manager, Perry Manasian, is doing a very good job, but he can only do so much with your hands tied. So this is for you, Artie Moreno. I would hate to see a guy like Sinja get a gig, for example, with the Angels, because you know how they historically they develop talent in the minor leagues, but it just seems like in the last 20 some odd years since Artie Moreno's had the team, it seems like they have dropped the ball on deal after deal. And then he's done what? In my opinion, he's blamed the general manager. So if Sinja's in a good location, in a good system, I think that's great. But you could actually really catapult your minor league system by taking a kid like that and maybe dealing him off for 3 or 4 top prospects, because some teams, they'd be willing to do it because they have a glut of prospects. And which teams need pitching? Well, most of them do, but some of the systems are loaded with pitching. And I know 3 or 4 of them that are, but we're not going to talk about that here. So I like the idea of what he represents. And I do believe that the Mariners would do quite well if they made a deal with Jurrangelo Sinja. So make sure you check him out. And folks, if you're a baseball card collector like myself, I got to tell you, I have been going nuts getting every Jurrangelo Sinja baseball card just in case the unthinkable happens. And I say the unthinkable because you never know. If this kid ends up turning out to be like a Tarek Skubal or a Paul Skeens, and Paul Skeens, in my opinion, is the best pitcher that's come into Major League Baseball since Greg Maddux. Paul Skeens is that guy, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him win 3, 4, 5 different Cy Young awards. I think he could actually do it, and Tarek Skubal is the same guy. He is that guy, but Paul Skeens is truly a generational pitcher. So what do you think would happen if you have that type of skill level, if he's developed at that level, and he throws from the left and the right side? Imagine what those baseball cards are worth. And I can tell you right now, the Paul Skeens baseball cards, if you get his early cards and you happen to get one that's signed, or he signs one and then you have it authenticated and all this other crap, I mean, you could retire off of some of these baseball cards. Look at Shohei Ohtani's first cards, his rookie cards. And there are certain cards of his that are worth millions and millions of dollars. I think this is some kind of a joke. It isn't, folks. The card collecting business, which it's really not even a hobby anymore. You go to these big card shows, and it's just a bunch of business people buying and selling commodities. And so the reality is, if you're getting the right cards of the right players, and if you're buying them right, it's just like buying stock in the stock market or anything like that. But these baseball cards have incredible value. And remember, they're bearer items. You can actually put them in your vaults, whatever, display them, do whatever you want with them. So you can enjoy them. You can look at them, unlike maybe a stock certificate from this company. Sure, I guess you can put it on your wall if you have them send you an actual stock certificate, but most people don't do that. But I guess what I'm trying to say, folks, if you have the ability, go out and grab some of those Durangelo Sinja baseball cards, and you'll thank me for this in who knows how long. And let's face it, if they move this kid up through the system in the next year or two, as one would imagine, you probably can see this kid's cards being worth a bunch of money. And right now, they are very, very inexpensive. You could probably pick them up for $3, $5, $10. And so I'll tell you what, you've probably, like me, you've probably blown $3 to $5 to $10 or whatever on stupid things.
Show me the money!
I know I have. And so think about the idea of maybe for your kids, yourself, even getting older or looking for a retirement fund, kids, grandkids, whatever, whoever's listening to this. You know, kids, maybe you want to do something nice for a niece, nephew, your own children, or even yourself or a friend or whatnot that's maybe a big baseball fan. Maybe they're from Seattle. Maybe they want a keepsake for the sporting world. Maybe they moved away from Seattle. They want something. There's all kinds of neat stuff. I'm not advocating to do anything except keep your eyes open, because I believe that this kid's baseball cards are going to be worth an absolute fortune. All right, we're going to be back here in just a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come, folks. Don't go anywhere. Back here in a few minutes.
Excellent.
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for Chaos and Controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportcircus.com for upcoming guests, prior guests, recorded shows, which can be found on all streaming platforms. And also, check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. One of those is Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't make it over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. Read all about the Italian beef sandwich, how it was created. They are the creators of it from 117 years ago. They've been in business since 1938, serving up great food. Check them out again at alsbeef.com if you can't make it over to Chicago's Little Italy. And that's 1079 West Taylor Street. And tell them the circus sent you. All right, in the last segment, right before we started the last segment, we're talking a little bit about our friends over at Vacation Buddies. And remember, if you know the answer to that simple trivia question of which of these 4 NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles, was it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer to that question, you can pick up a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Again, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want you to travel, have some good fun, and guess what? It's going to be on them for that hotel. So give them a call, 888-576-5777 with the correct answer, and you may pick up a couple of nights at one of those destinations. All right, lots of applause going on here today, folks. Lots and lots of applause. And in the last segment, I talked a little bit about pitching and so forth, and actually in the first segment too. And I did mention Paul Skeens. He's one of those generational types of pitchers. And you know what else is one of those generational things that we, as an audience, we tune in and we listen to our favorite games, our favorite announcers, our favorite whatever. There are games like I would look forward as a kid listening to an old announcer for the Cubs named Jack Brickhouse. I would run home from school. I'd catch the 8th or 9th inning of the Cub game and whatnot. And then later in the day, I would get the White Sox game on Channel 44. The Cubs were on WGN in Chicago, world's greatest network. That's what that stands for. And then later in the day, we'd pick up the night game, and it would be the White Sox on Channel 44. I think it was WTTW, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it was one of those snowy channels. So we'd have Harry Carey on the microphone calling the White Sox games. It was great because growing up in Chicago, we had 2 of the greatest announcers for baseball. Not the 2 greatest, but 2 of the greatest announcers. I would say arguably Vin Scully was clearly head and shoulders above everybody, a storyteller, the best in the business, doing a solo gig. I think he did it for 63 years. Something like that. Pretty sure it was 63 years. I mean, boy. If you ever had a chance to listen to Vin Scully, boy, he was truly the best baseball announcer of all time. But growing up and listening to the broadcasters, that was just a part of your life. And going back to those Cub games, they would have Jack Brickhouse call the first, second, third inning, and then the 4th, 5th, and 6th were called by somebody that was really tough on the ears, a good ball player, a good manager back in the day, and it was Lou Boudreau. And then Jack would come back for the final 3 innings. But I had to tough through, like everybody else, I had to tough through the Lou Boudreau innings. And you just know, you're like, okay, hopefully they'll go 1, 2, 3 across the board. This way you can get through those real quick. So you'd have basically 9, 18 outs, right, for both teams. But what happens when you listen to a game And the announcers, they just rub you the wrong way. Sometimes we have that. And I know I can watch, right now I'm just going to stick to baseball. I can watch a certain game, and there are certain announcers that I just do not like. I just won't listen to them. I'll hit the mute button, and I'll put something else on so I don't have to listen to them. We all have that. And let's face it, some people want to say it, some people don't have the nerve to say it. And so with that being said, some people that I know in the sports broadcasting business, and a lot of the people I know that I've talked to that talk about sports and broadcasting and games. Oh, you see that game? Oh, the announcer really had that one wrong, or the announcer had it right, or something like that. They usually make some kind of a comment. But what happens when you can't bear the sound of the voice? You can surely mute the game, which makes it difficult because it kind of takes an element out of the game. But what I'm talking about, and sometimes this is not the most popular discussion, but when, well, somebody asked me to talk about this, so I'm going to talk about it. When there is a man's game, a male game being played, and you have the female announcer, it's not as if they can't call the game, because they surely can call the game. And look, while there are many talented and respected female sports broadcasters, some individuals have faced criticism for various reasons. Examples includes perceived lack of knowledge, poor delivery, even fabricated reporting. That's right. Jenny Canver has received criticism for her play-by-play commentary, while others like Susie Waldman have been criticized for their vocal delivery. Charissa Thompson faced scrutiny for admitting to fabricating the quotes. And so you could go ahead and just Google this information because it's out there. And for example, here's an example of criticism on Jenny Kavnar. Some viewers found her play-by-play commentary for the Oakland A's to be unexciting. Let's just call them the Athletics. To be unexciting and lacking in judgment of the ball in play. Others have defended her, noting her experience and the fact that she's breaking barriers as the first female lead play-by-play announcer in Major League Baseball. I got to tell you, folks, I have listened to her, and she's not horrible. And what a lot of people complain about is the pitch and tone, because in some cases, we had a Broadcasting Hall of Fame member on this program not too terribly long ago talking about this very same thing. And he had said that the women are hard to listen to because their voice and the pitch of the voice blends in with the crowd and the background noise because of the high pitch typically that it is. Now, honestly, I never really gave that much thought, but according to that particular individual, first name is Jim, he had said those things plus a whole lot more. Now, a more detailed look at Susan Waldman, there's a criticism that was, as a Yankees radio analyst, she has been criticized for her whiny voice, that's in quotes, whiny voice, and for crying during an interview. And let's listen, folks, just think about this. First of all, there's no crying in baseball. That's right, no crying in baseball. I don't even understand how that happened. Is it an attention getter? What the hell is that? You don't have that. Why are women in the men's locker rooms in the first place? I will never know. You don't see men in the women's locker rooms after a game or before a game or anything like that. Everybody should go to a central press room. And here's one from Charissa Thompson, an example of criticism. She admitted to fabricating quotes from coaches during halftime interviews, which led to criticism about her ethics and professionalism. What kind of crap is that? Who does that? Well, apparently, Charissa Thompson did that. This is even according to Google. If you don't believe me, go ahead and Google it because you'll get the same feedback that I got. And so the bigger question is, what are the real considerations here? subjectivity. I mean, what one person finds enjoyable or informative, maybe another might not. And there's a degree of subjectivity in evaluating broadcasting talent. So, how are we going to evaluate it? What is the criteria? What happens? Okay, the listener, for example, in a baseball game, they're used to male announcers. You'll have a broadcaster, then you'll typically have a color commentator or an analyst that is a former player or coach or something to the effect, or baseball executive. And so that's the standard format. But some people say, well, hey, there are barriers, breaking the gender barriers and all this other stuff. And you ask yourself, is it really necessary to do this in sports? And why are certain organizations forcing this issue? Because remember, it's really the advertisers that have the most to lose and arguably the most to say. Because remember, certain football teams were forced to make certain changes, whether it's to their mascot or their ownership or whatever. The reality is, the sponsors seem to have most of the power because of the TV contracts. If you pull money from those TV contracts, what happens? Oh, that's right. They don't get the big money. They can't pay the players big money on top of it. And everybody loses financially on their side. We're going to come back with this in just a few minutes here on The Circus. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Hey, bud, what's your problem? She got up. Stop it! Stop it!
Excellent.
Why isn't this an awkward moment?
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today. Don't let your retirement accounts get caught off guard by trade and tariff wars. Learn why a Genesis Gold IRA is the number one choice for thousands of Americans across the nation. 800-709-4423. 800-709-4423. 800-709-4423. That's 800-709-4423.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey, everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com's store, and you can find that across the top of the sportscircus.com. There is a tab there. It says store. Check out the hats, hoodies, t-shirts, coats, pants, mouse pads, travel mugs, coffee mugs, pillows, you name it. It's all there. Lots of great items there with the Clever Sports Circus logo on it. And if you email info@thesportscircus.com, we can tell you all about that. Again, check out the store at thesportscircus.com. A shameless plug for the circus.
Excellent.
All right, back to this broadcasting thing. By the way, welcome back to everybody, radio and TV, you know who you are. Back to this broadcasting thing. And there's a lot of people that seem to have an issue with the female broadcasters, and we were asked to do a couple of segments on this by, well, somebody rather close to the show. So I said, okay, fine, we'll talk about it. So it is what it is, folks. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Some people say, well, you know, that's sexist, it's blah, blah, blah. Well, no, it's not. The reality is you can go ahead and Google all of this information and find it for yourself, but you can also talk to the people you know and ask about whether they like female broadcasters doing men's sporting events, right? So where we left off were those considerations. Subjectivity was one of them. How about experience? I mean, some broadcasters are relatively new to the gig in the first place, and of course they may improve with time and experience. The problem is they don't, in some cases, have the analytical experience in playing whatever sport it is, and even if they do, maybe they don't articulate it in a way for a particular audience. And this is what frustrates a lot of the viewers and listeners. How about the context? So really, it's important to consider the specific role of the broadcaster, whether it's a sideline reporter or a play-by-play. Let's just stick to play-by-play. And there are some broadcasters, male and female, that I just lose my mind with. I just can't listen. And some people complain more vocally. Some people just complain to themselves. And some people contact the networks and they complain. And the problem is when there are complaints about the broadcasting, then it goes back to a league office. It goes back to officials, and it goes back to their lawyers and their unions and everything else. And that sparks a problem with the advertisers. Remember, the advertisers are the kings of this whole thing. They say, well, without the advertiser, we can't pay from these ridiculous TV contracts because they're the ones that pay to have those ads put on the TV stations in the first place. So then you have these enormous TV contracts that are put together for the greater good of what? Well, it's for the greater good of the viewer, technically, right? So you have more games and more availability and all that fun stuff. The problem lies when the advertisers are inconvenienced or their sales drop off. Because when their sales drop off, then everybody gets a little bit weird by saying, uh-oh, if we don't make them happy, they're going to pull the contract. They're going to break the contract. We're going to have to go to court, fight this contract. And remember, we have all this money tied up to paying all of these athletes these ridiculous salaries. And so something as simple as the context could translate into, hey, we're not going to watch that team anymore. Hey, we're going to turn the channel. We don't like that channel's broadcasting team, etc. And this happens frequently with certain organizations, to be nameless. And what about the idea of diversity? So, of course, the presence of more female broadcasters is generally seen as a positive step, but it also means that some individuals may be less experienced or face different types of criticism. So, when you start checking boxes, checking the DEI boxes, you also have to check off the boxes where, oh, this one doesn't have experience doing this. This one doesn't have experience doing that. And I've seen this with my own ears, my own eyes. And I'm wondering, why is it that company X has to promote this group or that group or whatever it is? And you ask, well, why are they doing it? Oh, that's right. Because of the advertisers, because of money. It always comes back to money. And they say, well, no, we're trying to drive the equality. We're trying to shatter the glass ceiling, which I'm all for that. Hey, so be it. That's great. My sister built a very successful company. I'm very, very proud of her. In fact, she always gets a nice round of applause. So with her employing, 100 people or whatever the hell it was, starting at zero, I always applaud those that build something for the greater good and, of course, for the future. The problem is when it comes to broadcasting, they're not really building anything. What they're doing, these networks or these affiliates or whatnot, in my opinion, what they're doing is they're ramming their agenda down the ear holes of the listeners. Think about that. And why?
Show me the money!
Maybe they're getting paid to have some additional balance or whatnot on their broadcast teams. This is not necessarily everyone's favorite topic, but nobody has the parts to talk about it. I have the parts to talk about it. Some people don't. And it doesn't make everybody happy, but who gives a damn? Somebody's going to talk about it. So others think, well, gee, I wish I could talk about that, but this channel or our production crew or our production manager, our news people, they won't allow me to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it anyway, and I don't give a damn. Because all I want to do is get the topic out there in the first place. And let's face it, if you're watching Pick Your Favorite Channel on television, they have to do what? They have to dance to the news director. They have to dance, of course, to whom? The advertiser, because who has the money? The advertising from the companies. Let's say it's company X is promoting product Y or product Z, whatever the hell that means. Okay, so maybe company Y is promoting product Z or whatever the hell it is. The reality is, folks, it's those companies that are spending the money is where the TV networks get their money from in the first place. They don't just magically print money like, well, certain blue team administrations do in the government, if you know what I mean. That's right. But what I'm trying to say in the grand scheme of things is the agenda that is driven by the advertisers is translated to or through the broadcast companies to their staff, to their higher-ups that do the hiring, that check the boxes. And if you don't think it's political in the broadcast world, it is just as political in broadcasting as it is to play the games in the first place. And if you don't think professional sports is political and high school sports is political and everything in between, it absolutely is. And I would even argue that, I guess, any of the under 18, right, from little league to whatever, politics. The whole damn thing is politics. And parents have taken the fun out of it because they've accumulated a certain amount of money and they want their child to do well. So they'll throw money at these kids to play in this traveling league and this thing and that thing. What about the kids that can't afford it? They have to play Park District. Well, guess what? There are broadcasters for that too. And there are low-level advertisers say, hey, you mention our company, we'll give you X dollars. And you mention our agenda, we'll give you X times $2 or something like that. So the point is, the politics run so deep in, not just in business, not just in politics itself, but in sports, all the way from on the field, in the dugout, in the locker room, on the ice, on the hard court. Oh, yeah, all of that stuff. Oh, and by the way, it also does in the broadcasting world. It's the same thing. Garbage in, garbage out. So when I pick a topic to discuss, I'm going to develop the topic. When I started way back in the day, they said, well, we'd like for you to do a rapid fire kind of a show. And there are some shows out there that are rapid fire that are good. And there's a couple of them that I like myself, but I don't typically watch them because I don't want to sound like them. But the rapid fire is like every minute and a half. or so, you get a new topic, you have to come up with some kind of conclusion to whatever your thought is, and boom, move on to the next one. Boom, move on to the next one. I don't do that. I like to develop the content. And the reason being, for an example, with this broadcasting situation, look, it drives a lot of people crazy. But again, you have to have the ability to not only talk about it, but to develop an argument for or against. I can argue for broadcasters or against broadcasters. And frankly, in some cases, I just want to hear the game. In baseball especially, you know what I want to hear as a former ball player? I want to hear the pop of the glove when the pitcher throws it past the batter. And I want to hear the crack of the bat, which is arguably the best sound in the world, to me that is. I honestly don't know of a better sound in the world than the crack of a baseball bat. I mean, really, that's it for me. But you got to realize there are some sports you can actually watch without a sound. And in baseball, boy, I wish they could actually pick up the whistle of the ball when it comes in. If you've never stood in the batter's box and feared for your life or thought you were going to hit the ball hard, the sound that the ball makes coming in, that sound when it goes by you, you don't know the ball could kill you or you can hit it 400 or 500 feet. The reality is it's a game truly of inches, like they always say that about football. Well, baseball has great sounds like football. You can actually turn the announcers off and just hear the crashing of the pads and the players, and you actually can hear what's going on if they had a microphone right there on the offensive line. Right where they snap the ball. I mean, great sounds of the game. And that's the stuff that I think that should be allowed to be played more rather than hearing somebody yammer about something that either A, they don't know what it is, or B, they don't know enough to describe it to the audience that doesn't know much about it. Therefore, they lose the audience, or frankly, they just bore the audience to tears with the information in the first place. So you have to decide as an audience member, what do you want? Do you want announcers that know the game? We're talking sports. They know the game. They've played the game. They have on the field, on the court, on the ice experience. Or do you want some bozo that comes out of broadcasting school or whatever? It's a friend of somebody within the organization, and somehow they got lucky and got a gig, and they can't talk their way out of a wet paper bag. That's what you have to determine as an audience member, and you need to make sure that you tell your network affiliates. And it's okay for you to write in, complain, call them. They do answer the telephone, and give your opinion because, folks, it does matter in case you think it doesn't. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.